Hello everyone, this is Grammar 4's lecture for 1206 over lesson 12. So in this lesson, the review index is subjunctive of sum and syntax 44 and 48 through 50. So let's look at those first. So here's the subjunctive of sum. This should be a review. You notice sim, sis, sit, simus, city, sint. In this present subjunctive, the only difference between the subjunctive and the indicative is the I instead of U and E. So in the indicative, we have sum, es, est. Here we have sim, sis, sit. All right. The imperfect subjunctive is the same as all other imperfect subjunctives. Oh, I did that incorrectly. Pardon me. Making mistakes here. So there's the present. The imperfect, like I was saying, is just like the imperfect subjunctive of, for example, laudo. So we form the imperfect subjunctive by taking the, zoom in here, taking the infinitive and adding personal endings. So we see esse, which is the infinitive of sum, and we add mst, mustis, int. All right. Okay, the perfect. The perfect is also like perfect subjunctives of the four conjugation verbs. You have the perfect stem, plus erim. Okay, so fu is the perfect stem from fui, the third principal part of sum. And then you add erim, eriseret, erimus, eritis, All right, the pluperfect, also the same as the pluperfect of main conjugation verbs. We have the perfect stem and we add isem. And isem is the imperfect subjunctive of sum, sm, except it changes to an I there. All right, when it's put in the middle of the word. All right, so that is your review grammar form. There's also some grammar syntax. So looking at this one, direct number 44. Direct questions are normally in the indicative mood. There are two kinds of direct questions in Latin, so you should know these two kinds. The kind that is introduced by question words, and those question words are called interrogative adverbs, adjectives, or pronouns like who, what, when, where, why, and how. These questions require an answer other than yes or no. Okay, other than yes or no. Then we have the other kind of indicative question, the other kind of direct question, which is to say yes or no questions. Okay, yes or no questions are introduced by the enclitic ne, which is added to the end of the first word of the sentence, usually the verb. So orabatne means was he praying. Okay, we also have 48 through 50. So 48, a use of the present subjunctive is the hortatory subjunctive. So this is one use. It expresses an exhortation, an indirect command, or a strong wish, usually translated by let for an exhortation in the first person, may for a strong wish in the second person, and let or may for an indirect or strong wish in the third person. The tense is oremus, vincas, veniat. Okay. these are the subjunctives here. All right, the deliberative subjunctive, another use of the subjunctive in an independent clause. The deliberative subjunctive is used for a question asked in doubt or indignation about a course of action. Use the present subjunctive in Latin and the helping verb should in English to translate. So, for example, quid faciam means what should I do, or what am I to do? And fugiamus is should we flee, fugiat should he flee. Okay, you get a should there, that's deliberative. And 50, a deliberative question asked about a past event uses the imperfect subjunctive. So, quid facerem, what should I have done? What should I have done? All right, so that's our review syntax. Now, what about this week? This week we are learning the interrogative pronoun who or what. The interrogative pronoun is a pronoun that asks a question. As a pronoun, it follows the pronoun agreement rule. Remember, the pronoun agreement rule is that pronouns agree with their antecedents in gender and number, but case is determined by its own clause. Own clause. Okay. If you looked at Lesson 4's review vocabulary, you would notice that the word quis, who, and the word quid, what, are actually just forms of the interrogative pronoun. So quis is the form for who, and quid is the form for what. All right? You may notice that, let's see, where is it? Well, here's some examples of that. Quis equum ferrum continet. Who is restraining the wild horse? The subject who is the subject of continet, so it must be nominative singular. Similarly, quid aqua complebis means what will you find with, what will you fill with water? What being a single object, since it's a neuter nominative singular. The declension of the interrogative pronoun is almost identical to the relative pronoun. Remember, the relative pronoun is qui, quae, quod. So it looks almost exactly the same, with three differences. The feminine singular is identical to the masculine singular, so we get quis and quis. Okay. The nominative masculine and feminine singular is quis, as we just said, and the nominative and accusative neuter singular is quid. So, where are we? Yeah, so quid and quid in the nominative and accusative singular, whereas the relative pronouns nominative and accusative singular was quod. And the relative pronoun. All right. Finally, on this page, cum is enclitic with the ablative of the interrogative pronoun. So we can say quo cum means with whom, and quibus cum, with whom in the plural. Okay. Now, we've seen that before. We see that with other pronouns like nobis cum means with us. Often the cum is an enclitic with pronouns, not just the interrogative pronoun like we see here. Okay, let's go to the next page. All right. When we ask questions, we sometimes indicate what kind of response we want or expect. So we may say, "Are you sad?" expecting that the answer could be yes or no. "You aren't sad, are you?" That expects a no answer. And "You you're sad, aren't you? Expects a yes answer. To indicate the expected answer in English, we repeat the verb and make it positive if it was negative, or negative if it was positive. The Latin has specific words to indicate expected responses. Nonne expects a yes answer, and num expects a no answer, so you should memorize those. So, for example, esne tristis means are you sad, when we don't expect yes or no. It could be either. But when we expect a no answer, we would say num tristis es, you aren't sad, are you? Or nonne tristis es, you're sad, aren't you? If we're expecting a yes answer. Okay, your vocabulary. So this vocabulary list consists of 3 kinds of words. These first 5 are first conjugation verbs with prefixes. So ex, in, etc. Oh, I'm sorry, not all of them, just the first one. Just this first one has a prefix. The rest of them don't have prefixes. Okay, the second group of words is third conjugation verbs that form their perfect stem in V rather than something like xi. All right, and then finally we have pervenio. Pervenio is a prefixed verb in the fourth conjugation whose present and perfect stem are the same. So you see that when you look at perven, that's our present stem. Then you go to perven, the third principal part, and find the perfect stem, you still get perven. So in a couple of cases you put the you would have the same exact form for the present and the perfect tense. Then we have quis quid, which is who. That's our interrogative pronoun. All right, and that is enough for today. You saw probably that I am asking you to upload your homework and your quiz to Google Classroom. Please do that today to get full credit for the homework, and I may or may not see you next week.